Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first episode of the Daily Sports Report podcast for the fall 2025 semester. I'm your host, Ian Pfaffenberger, staff writer for the North Texas Daily. I'm joined today by sports editor for the North Texas Daily and 247 side publisher, Justin Na.
It's good to be here. It's good to be here, Ian. I've been a part of 3 iterations of this daily podcast now. I feel like an old man. So,
And this is my first time doing it. I'm super excited, super hyped. This week, there's been a lot going on in North Texas sports. Football's off to a 2-0 start. Volleyball's off to a 4-2 start to start the season under new head coach Dave Fleming. Soccer's off to a 4-4 start. Has some stuff going there. We'll touch on all that. First off, I'm going to start off talking about football. They got a game coming up against Washington State. Got the rockin' it dat Q movement going on.
yes, sir.
Off to a 2-0 start. Blowout against Lamar. Huge comeback win against WMU. Just kind of what have you been seeing out of them so far?
Yeah. So fans who have not kept up with UNT football the past couple of years of Coach Morris, they like to throw the ball, right? Let's get that out of the way early and often. They're an air raid offense who really do thrive on explosive plays, getting down the field very quickly, hurry up offense, meaning they're not going to take the time to get into the huddle or, Coach Morris is going to call these plays very quickly. They're just going to line up every time, try to get down the field. It's been kind of the same old on that end. There's been a little bit more of an emphasis on running the ball, which you've seen mainly in the second half against Western Michigan, where, Mackenzie McGill ends up with, I think, 100-odd yards on 16 carries. It's probably the most productive day he's had in a little while. And so, you kind of got to see that more balanced approach to offense that, we haven't seen previously in years past. They attempt to do the similar thing against Lamar, obviously, but it was a little less efficient. I think we ended up with 43 carries and about 163 yards or so.
Yeah, it was about 2 or 3 yards a carry,
Exactly.
too, so nothing super efficient.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's the same explosive offense, but what's really different is obviously that defense. It's massively different from any UNT fans who had to sit through the season opener against Cal 2 years back, or the season opener, not even the season opener, honestly, just multiple games through last season. I think the stat that I have here is that there were 8 different times that last year where UNT allowed 200-plus rushing yards. And then 3 of those times it was 302 against UTSA, 297 to Tulane, 293 to Army, right? They're just letting up these huge amounts of rushing yards. And against Western Michigan, they obviously struggled a little bit. They allowed, let me have the exact number here, 221 rushing yards. But even that number, I think, is like the third lowest out of the 8 times they allowed 200-plus rushing yards last year. So massively improved defense.
Yeah.
Same old consistent explosive offense. It's been fun to watch.
I know that new defensive coordinator, Skylar Cassidy, had, I think, the 22nd ranked defense in the nation last year. Coming over from Sam Houston, bringing in a couple transfers, has been a huge addition to that defense. Trey Fields up there on the linebacker position. You got David Fisher and Davion Armstead there at the cornerbacks position. They've been performing well so far to start this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Throughout fall camp, right, that's kind of the big narrative, big question, right? The same Sam Houston defense that Cassidy cultivated over there in Conference USA, can it be transferred over here to the American and at UNT, where defense has been their Achilles heel for the last couple of years? And, as reporters, you have to do your due diligence, and you have to be like, hey, new Sam Houston player, is this defense really all that it's supposed to be? And every time we got the same confident answer from, regardless of what transfer you spoke to, that this defense is legit, it's real, and this is the first time for us, obviously, that we're witnessing the evidence of that, right?
Yeah.
I think the exact stat that I have here is that they allowed 217 first half yards against Western Michigan.
Yep.
They tightened up, and they just allowed 86 in that second half.
Yeah.
Against Lamar, the total yards, I don't have the number on hand, but they set a program record for the fewest total yards allowed against an opponent since probably about the last 20 years or so for UNT against Lamar. And that's an FCS team, obviously, but still an impressive feat, because I promised you I was there last year when UNT played SFA. And SFA comes out swinging, and UNT falls behind, I think 7-14, 7-21 in the first half, maybe 14-21. But I promise you, I've seen this UNT defense struggle against FCS competition before. We at the beginning of this year, we saw Army lose to Tarleton State, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen FBS teams struggle against FCS offenses. It's very much possible. They deserve their credit for not playing with their food, finishing the job, beating Lamar, and then obviously against Western Michigan, struggling in the first half, but tightening up in that second. As far as I've seen, I'm very impressed, and as to what they've been saying throughout camp, and as soon as they've arrived, those Sam Houston transfers, they're legit as far as I can tell.
Yeah, definitely a tale of two games between Lamar and Western Michigan. A big thing we've kind of been hearing in these press conferences is this defensive mindset that Cassie's kind of brought it to them is do their 111th.
Yes,
And
sir.
it seems like almost every defensive player we interview has said that whenever, like in their interview or at the presser. This has kind of been a big part of it. Each and every one of them doing their job. As long as you do your job, the defensive unit will be successful. And it's been pretty fun to watch so far.
Yeah, yeah. I think I asked a question probably a couple pressers back, or maybe even during camp. I think it might have been for Richard Outland Jr., but someone will have to fact check that. That's us, actually. We'll have to fact check that later.
Oh, for that fact check on the yards, it was
Yeah.
119 allowed against Lamar.
My
which is
gosh.
a program record. It was 147 was the record, dated back to 2014 against Florida International.
Seriously. Yeah. My gosh. Yeah. No, they looked, the FCS or the Lamar offense looked out of sorts against
Oh,
that,
yeah.
against that defense. But yeah, no, I asked, speaking on that 111th, mentality. Well, I'm going on a rant here. I've already derailed our podcast.
Go ahead.
We can, let's just try to place ourselves in the shoes of those players. That mentality, I feel like, is a lot easier said than done, right? I feel like it involves setting aside your ego, right?
Yeah.
Not worrying about making your play, but making the play, right? Whether it's, making the tackle itself or just, eating up 2 blocks so that someone else beside you can make the tackle, right? Doing your 111th does not necessarily mean like being the star that makes the play. And to have that mentality, I think that I had the question asking the Sam Houston players. I was like, what makes you want to buy into that mentality, right? Because obviously, maybe results, right? Maybe you do this and it works out and that's why you do it. But what makes you want to sacrifice, your individualism a little bit and your desire to make a play for yourself and just really prioritize making a play for the team? And his answer was that Skylar Cassidy's a genius. That guy's a genius, man. And that he encourages them and he coaches them in a way that empowers them. Patrick Smith-Young, I think, has a really unique perspective because he was here in 2023. He transferred to Old Dominion. Yeah. He's a safety. He's a senior safety. Or I'm sorry, he's a junior safety. Good fact check. He was here in 2023. He left to Old Dominion last year. He comes back this year, right? And we have to ask him, right? What is the difference between that 2023 defense that you were a part of and this year in 2025? And one of the big things was player empowerment, right? He said that, it feels like it's much more on the players to get together and get the results rather than waiting around for coach to encourage them or to coach them and make them want to win. They want. It's my first podcast. I'm stuttering, man.
Yeah, and to speak to that, you said it's hard to kind of get in that mindset of doing 111th just because of if your ego wanting to make that big play, but that mindset of it does get put on the players. You don't have to wait for coach. I think that kind of for these players can diminish that ego a little bit. And you see it. You see the chemistry on the field. They're all having a great time together. I think Ethan Wislowski said this is the most fun group he's ever played a part of. They're just gelling really well under that new mindset.
Yeah. Like. There's a concern this offseason, right, where you have this hurry up UNT quick tempo offense, and you couple it with any defense. There's a concern that having these quick scores puts your defense back on the field over and over.
I think that was definitely a thing happened last year.
Exactly.
That air raid offense. I mean, they're quick scores. Sometimes our defense would be on the field.
And if there weren't quick scores, Coach Morris talked about all camp, right? But like they were inefficient on 3rd and 4th down, right?
Oh yeah, and in the red zone too.
Exactly. Yeah. So when you're constantly going on 4th down, you're constantly playing up tempo, you're constantly scoring, or you're constantly having like 3-and-out drives. Whether it's a good result or bad result, that defense is back out there all the time. Yeah. And unfortunately, for former defensive coordinator Matthew Capone, his unit wasn't able to withstand that amount of pressure and that amount of time seeing the field. But so far in these early tests for Morris and the crew, obviously he's mentioned running the ball and that's slowed down the tempo a little bit. But so far that defense gets out there every time, and I'm not worried. And neither is he, right? And that's one of the stats that we were going to talk about later on. I don't know if you want to talk about that now, but
no, we'll get into it.
Yeah. Ian and I were at the football presser on Tuesday, and Coach Morris kind of mentioned he had to check with Doug Waters, who's the football SID. But
shout out Doug.
Shout out Doug. He's great. But Coach Morris was like, that might have been the first time while he's been at UNT that they didn't attempt to go 4 and 4th down.
Yeah.
Right. And he said that the reason why he was very comfortable not putting that pressure on his offense to convert on the 4th down, and risk field position was because he trusted the defense. That if you punt, you give possession back to Western Michigan, he has faith in that defense to make the stop and they can get the ball back in much safer territory. And that's a massive difference. I mean, that's a massive, massive difference than last year. Last year, I don't think I have the stats on hand, but I remember doing it for some 24/7 article. But they attempted, I think, possibly the most fourth down conversion attempts in the
I
country
think it
last
was
year.
second. It
Second,
was top 5 for sure.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's understandable, right? Oftentimes, early in these games, they either be trailing or they be, in a tight shootout immediately, right? There
Mhm.
wasn't time to really consider, or I'm sorry, there wasn't much time in the game to consider, punting the ball and trusting that defense. And honestly, if you did punt the ball, did you want to trust that defense?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's no shade to even the players or Coach Capone. It's just whatever about that unit just didn't gel, just didn't perform
Yeah.
at the expectation that they wanted to. Um, Iowa State has had a plenty good defense in the past couple of years. That's where Capone came from. I don't think that, you know, I don't even know. I don't even think that, like, I don't know.
You were in that 3-3-5 scheme, just didn't gel
Just
as
didn't work
much, I
out.
guess. Yeah.
Um, but hey,
I think that's another thing to speak to
please.
Cassidy's. From what I understand, he just kind of runs a very much personnel based defense.
Multiple.
Whoever multiple, just whoever we have, um, you know, whoever we're going up against, whoever we have is who we put in there. Whoever's best for that situation. He's just good at utilizing the player's strengths. That's very apparent.
To count on the defense to make that kind of play. We just haven't previously seen it before.
Yeah.
I think that really unlocks the potential for Washington State, which is obviously this Saturday.
Yeah.
And it's a marquee game, and I think they have much better chances based on what they've shown this year than years past.
Yeah, I think UNT's favored to win by I think 4.5 it was. So
Wow.
they're on the favored side. Um, Washington State coming off a win against SDSU. They're also 2-0 to start the season. Won
Yep.
13-10 against Idaho, I believe, first week, and then 36-13 abouts against SDSU.
I think so,
Somewhere
yeah.
along those lines, yeah.
Yeah.
Defense played great. Coach Morris yesterday talking about just how perennially good their defense always is. Would be a test for their offense.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And the fun part about this matchup is that Coach Morris was obviously a former coordinator at Washington State.
Yeah,
He spent
storylines
2 different
there.
stints at Pullman.
Yeah.
And he talked a lot about what it means to be a Coug, which I've always thought is
Yeah,
a funny
a Coug.
shortened term for a cougar. But
Yeah, I mean, he grew up there. I'm sure he knows.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
whether- Yeah, it was fun listening to him talk about that. Those who don't know, he just kind of said it was a very cultural place, very outdoorsy, very blue collar. I think is the way he put it.
Yeah.
So you get really entrenched in the culture there. Coached there 2 different stints. He was the quarterbacks coach in his first stint, and then the offensive coordinator before he came to UNT. I think it was for 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah, the year
With
before
Cam
he
Ward.
became the head coach. Yeah, yeah.
I want to talk about briefly while we're talking on this. We're talking about his stint in Washington State. Someone compiled a bunch of tweets. Rather, I'm sorry. Yeah, someone compiled a bunch of tweets of Washington State fans talking about Coach Morris's tenure there, as his 1 year as a coordinator. And they just kept talking about how he really loves bubble screens, and, and that he's
In a tweet, he put that.
a bunch of Washington State fans were just like,
Oh.
we're not worried about
Oh,
Morris.
that's what they put. Yeah, they didn't know
yeah.
if they had.
Uh,
Or-
hey,
yeah.
there's a lot of ways to make an offense productive.
Mhm.
And to be fair, there are plenty of bubble screens. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen bubble screens work way more than I feel like they should have in games. Like it'll just be a dump off to the flat, and
Mhm.
then it gains like 40 yards. I'm like, how do they? And they do it. It seems to always happen so much in
Yeah.
these games. Bubble screens definitely not what we've kind of been seeing from this North Texas offense. That air raid is very much potent.
Yeah.
Plethora of wide receivers. I mean, White, Young, Dalton Carnes, Landon Sides kind of yet to get going this season, but they're excited for him. Simeon Evans, Miles Coleman, all
Yeah.
these guys. Just a litany. Is that the right word?
Sure, man. You're a writer. A litany.
a
I love it.
litany of receivers from Estemaker. It's a pretty good situation for him. He spread the ball around too. I think 26 of 27 games in Morris's tenure, a receiver, eight or more receivers have caught a pass in a game.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
it's very much by design. A lot of these players do a lot of different things, and that was the piece that Jordan Davis, the offensive coordinator and wide receivers coach, gave us in the fall camp. Was that you have a guy like Barron Tipton who's 6'5", he plays that
Oh,
X,
yeah.
and then you have a guy like Miles who's
5'6",
5'6",
yeah.
right? You flip those numbers, and he's playing the slot, and those guys, many different guys, that you didn't even mention, because they just have so many dudes. Terrence Lewis, who also is the backup X, right? I think you mentioned Wyatt, but Wyatt's the H, and he's also the backup slot, right? So
Yeah.
that he just comes in so many different places. Cameron Dorner, Simeon Evans, both switch in at that Y spot before we go anywhere. X being the outside receiver
Yeah.
spot, Y being the other outside receiver spot,
Sorry,
slot.
sometimes we get really into it.
Yeah,
We
no,
forget.
honestly, I'm actually failing right now as a podcast host.
No, you're
Gotta
good.
keep it simple,
What do you mean?
honestly.
No.
Point being, they have a lot of dudes who can make a lot of different types
Yeah.
of plays. Not even like, I'm talking about the total amount of plays they can make. A lot of these guys have so many different strengths and skill sets that you kind of see the offense be able to do a lot of different things. This year's receiving group, in comparison to years past, has a lot of versatility. I
Yeah.
think is really what I'm trying to say. Yeah, you need a.
I
a
mean,
red-
last year, I mean, you had your DT Sheffields and all those guys, but they're all kind of offered you the same stuff, speedy route runner types of guys. And yeah, like you said, with the differences in this receiver groups, you got guys who are 6'5", 5'6", guys who can do a lot of different stuff. Uh, just talent across every single position, receiver position where you can line up on the field. So
You know what I want to say too with my time here, Ian? We were robbed of a healthy Damon Ward Jr. season last year.
yes,
know,
we were.
he
You're
had-
right. You're right. That was so. I remember that first game,
Yeah.
200 yards.
Yeah.
Got named. I think he was on.
The
He was-
Belinikov watch list, right?
Yes, and he made like ESPN top play because he caught like one deep bomb, and he was. Yeah, we were robbed. I was looking forward to him. I remember watching that first game, and I was like, "Oh man, this." Because this is I'm a sophomore. It's my
Yeah.
first year at UNT. It's my first time kind of watching UNT football. I was like, "Oh man, this is a dynamic offense." Like I know our defense struggled last year, but we got a new scheme. We got Chandler Morris. We have Chandler Morris, the man. We got Damon Ward, and he went off 200. I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be good."
Yeah. No, it was great to watch. And he was that traditional outside receiver that UNT kind of needed. And then he was able to play for most of the year. I imagine when you look back at the whole season log and all that.
Yeah.
But I think that he was just banged up ever since game 2 or whatever. I forgot when he exactly got that injury, but um,
I mean, you still have guys step up. That's just kind of what happens in this offense. I
Yeah.
mean, it's so well designed that it's hard for a receiver not to have a good season. That's just kind of the way it goes.
Yeah.
In my eyes.
yeah. I think the receivers that come here are obviously super talented. The Memphis game, right? I mean, that's the first one you think about when you talk about DT Sheffield.
Oh, yeah.
He takes a jet jet sweep, and then he also just takes a screen pass, and then both of those he takes like 90 yards to the house.
Oh yeah.
Right?
I remember those.
You can't produce, a lot of you can try to drop some great plays. It's hard to drop an instant 90-yard touchdown play, right? Like it's DT at the end of the day who's going out there and taking this screen play, however well designed, and just running past people, running past defenders. Shout out Rutgers, man. Y'all paid that man, I imagine.
Oh man, that NAL is going crazy.
Sure. But here, do you take us to where we got to go?
No,
I can do this all
I
day.
got you. I'm honestly, I don't even know how long we've been going. How long have we been going? So
Let's
yeah,
do that, man.
going into Washington State. Last I checked, which is like about an hour ago, slightly less than 80% of tickets sold. Remember they had that same kind of movement at Wyoming. I don't think I went to that game last year, but I remember seeing the pictures. Stadium looked packed.
You're the reason why we didn't sell it out, Ian.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I was working the job, so I didn't go either.
That's so
I
sorry.
mean, I was.
You were there. You're just up. You're
I
just
was in the
up.
press
He
box,
was
yeah.
looking down on everyone.
Oh wow! No, I'm a man of the people, Ian. You know me.
Oh yeah.
But please.
But yeah, rocking to Dad Q, I think is what it was. The
Yes,
movement.
sir.
Yeah, rocking to Dad Q.
Musical themes.
Yeah, music, live music for the rest of that day. Coach Morris players been putting stuff on social media, been doing stuff across campus, trying to get people to come out. Stadium's slightly less than 80% full now. Should be a good game. Going against probably the biggest name opponent, I guess, of the season, Washington State. However
sure.
big the Pac-12 is now at this point, but
People have their thoughts.
yeah, people do have their thoughts. And the storylines there too. Coach Morris, having coached at Washington State, they're coming back. He faces his old team. Should be a good matchup. High octane UNT offense against very good Washington State defense. Yeah, Washington State this Saturday, 2:30 should be a good game.
Yeah, let's see it, man.
Yeah. All right, volleyball.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's get into it. It's a little less on Justin's radar, but
I'm
got
trying.
you.
I'm gonna try my best. I'm
He's
gonna try my
learning.
best.
Volleyball gotten off to a 4-2 start under the first year of new head coach Dave Fleming. Previously spent 20 years at D2 school Colorado Mesa. Volleyball also lost a high octane few hitters last year with Aaron Johnson and Coco Gillette both graduating. They were the team's captains and outside hitters who led or were in the top 5 in kills. And then Peyton Van Veen, who was, I think, second in kills for the team, transferred to New Mexico State. It was not Arkansas State, like I was saying yesterday.
Oh, no, I
Um,
think it's the opposite. I think she's at Arkansas State, not New Mexico
dang it,
State.
I messed it up again.
I
What
know.
did I?
You're
Okay,
good. You're good.
New Mexico State. She's at New Mexico
She's
State.
at Arkansas State.
Oh my gosh.
You're she's at
Okay.
Arkansas State.
Yes,
She's at
that.
Arkansas State. No
She's
worries.
at that school.
Yes.
Yeah, but a storyline, kind of what we've been hearing around, just going into this season is the lack of offense going into it. They kind of have to plan around that. They use a lot more middle blockers, just kind of a more balanced approach. I think is what I read in the volleyball preview the North Texas Daily put out.
Shout out the Daily.
Yep, shout out Daily. um, yeah. A highlight player, our highlight player of the week, in fact, Reagan Bedell has been on a tear for the volleyball team. Recently, she was named American Honorable Player of the Week. I believe she had, for what tournament was it?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
to open the season. Yeah.
Yeah, to open the season. Yeah, to open the season. I think the Line Invitational, she had already 41 kills over that tournament, which was very high. And then recently, I think the North Texas Daily's Player of the Week this week as well. She had 26
sir.
kills against
Stetson.
Stetson. That was an interesting game. Me and Justin went back and watched that game yesterday. That's kind of our first look we've had at the team. They haven't played a home game yet. We play on Friday though against Arkansas.
They play against Little Rock.
Little Rock.
Yes, sir.
Little Rock. Yes, that's right. Home opener on Friday, 7 p.m. Should be a good one. Should be a good rocking atmosphere. I remember whenever my first assignments were to go to the volleyball games.
Yes,
The
sir.
atmosphere is always just super fun. It's a small building. The ceiling is incredibly low. Like the amount of times the ball would get hit up there, and like it'd be like an incomplete play or no, it counts.
Yeah.
Like if it gets hit up there and it lands, I think it counts.
I think so too.
Yeah. But it's a great place to go. That volleyball center, it's smaller, but it's loud. The fans are into it. The band is into it. We have a small band there, so it's a fun time to go. It's a good place to go.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a briefly before we get into Justin Naw's analysis of volleyball. I'm taking off my football stats analysis hat. I'm putting much more on a storyteller journalist hat
Yeah.
for this next little piece. I'm gonna take a note from former volleyball coach Christy Porter, who's no longer at UNT since they
Parted
fired
ways.
her.
Okay, we're not no sugarcoat.
No sugarcoat. I'm sorry, they fired her last year. But I'm gonna take a note from Coach Porter. I liked her phrasing of it a lot. Right, that small, tight atmosphere in that room, and the band's right there playing as loud as they can, and it feels like the band's on top of you. Right.
yeah.
I think the way that the bleachers are set up, the way the room's set up, I don't think it's intentional. Right, because I think honestly, it looks like a repurposed basketball gym. But for its modest appearance, it does have a very nice environment, especially with that band playing as loud as they do, just echoing in that very small room.
Yeah.
I got to also watch them play in the Super Pit, which was also a massively different
Oh
environment.
yeah,
change.
I was great. I wish I saw it on TV. I wish I
No,
was
yeah,
actually
yeah,
there.
no, it was great. I think they obviously it's different from basketball, so I think you struggle a little bit to fill all those seats, but. The difference for me, at least, was like it doesn't feel like the environment is as potent because it's a larger environment, and that there's no huge band like again right on top of you the whole time.
Yeah.
And it also was a little different because the ceilings are much higher, so
Yeah.
obviously that changes the gameplay aspect of that as well. But no, the home environment for UNT volleyball I've always admired, regardless of again a modest appearance.
Yeah.
It's a very nice environment, and they are going to play their first home game against Little Rock on Saturday.
Yeah.
They beat Little Rock already. In the previous invitational they had, or rather 2 invitationals ago to open the season.
Yes, in the Line Invitational. Yeah, that
Yes,
was
sir.
They opened against DBU as their second game, first tournament game of the season. So yeah, beat them in 4 sets.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's look at the box score from that. I guess will give us some good insight.
Yeah, take it away.
Kills leader Reagan Bedell had 17, Janai Jackson had 10, Ryan Vick at 10. Those are the big names y'all will see on this volleyball team this season. Bedell and Vick, both returners from last year, both freshmen last year, sophomores this year. Bedell early on the season appears to be the team's main scorer. I think she has 81 kills already, which from what I understand about volleyball, which isn't much, but from what I was what I was seeing last year, 81 at this point in the season seems to be quite a good number.
Yeah,
Janai Jackson, a transfer in this year, also a sophomore. Second on the team in kills, and then Ryan Vick, standout freshman last year, the only player on the team, in fact, to be named to a American preseason team. She's a middle blocker. her highlight game last year, I think I was there. Me and Ruben were there. Shout out
Mhm.
Rube. Shout out our boy Ruben.
Shout out Ruben Placencia, man. Yeah.
Showed me the ropes on volleyball. I think it was against Tulsa. She had 10 blocks in that game,
Yeah.
which for volleyball is a lot. That was only like the 5th time in North Texas history that it happened. So
Crazy.
10 blocks in a game, Ryan Vick, and she's now leading in kills in some of these games. So appears to have a good season set up for her. However, she has not played in the last 3 games. Important note going on there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, no, we don't have the reporting. We had Ruben, funny enough, go to a
That's
a
true. It
volleyball
happened
presser
today.
today. I'll have
Unfortunately,
to,
this happened a little bit too close to that, so
I
we don't quite
know.
know yet.
I'll have to
I
ask
wonder
him.
if we call him up. Just be like, hey, Ruben, you're on right now.
We probably can, honestly,
Yeah.
but yeah, no. Speaking on Vic, speaking on Bedell, right? I think it's a really cool scenario in which a lot of graduating seniors in offensive production graduated, and so it's an opportunity and kind of a power vacuum, allowing those young freshmen to have another year under their belt and take upon much larger roles, right? I think Bedell ended with like maybe 70 kills last season on the season.
Yeah,
as a
I mean,
whole.
she didn't play in some games. Like, she never even saw a set.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was interesting. Or
So
match is what it's called.
Sure.
Yeah,
Hey,
sets are the
sure,
points.
man.
See, we're still learning. We're still learning volleyball, but it is
Absolutely.
very entertaining. It is
I
very
know.
entertaining.
I
Yeah.
was talking to. I'll give another shout out to another daily member at the moment, Haley Stum,
Shout out Haley.
who's the senior sports writer. I was talking with her, and I was like, "Yeah, volleyball is so entertaining, but it feels so simple that I feel like I'm missing out on like the real technical elements of it."
Yeah.
Um,
It looks like, because you see people play it just like, at a park or something, and then it looks the same to the eye.
yeah.
Even kind of when you're there, but it's just 10 times harder when you're actually on that court.
No, I 100%.
And that ball,
believe that.
and I would rather do a lot of things than face an Aaron Johnson spike, because she would smack the poop out of that ball when I was
Absolutely.
there.
Let me again, because once again, I can't offer much actual sport analysis, but I was able to speak with Coach Fleming for a very
Yeah.
extended amount of time.
How was he? How was it just?
Yeah,
how's
I
he as a
mean,
guy? I haven't been able to talk to him yet, but
dude, when we get you out there, I think you're gonna love meeting
Yeah.
him. Honestly,
I am looking forward to it.
I think he's a very nice man. I think he's a very good coaching hire for this program. I think that obviously his dedication to Colorado Mesa for the last 20 years, says that he's not really here to, I don't know, what's the word for it, I guess. I don't know, use an opportunity just for the sake of opportunity.
Yeah,
right?
it's not a promotional opportunity. Yeah.
Exactly.
He's a guy who believes in
Building
his
out
philosophies
programs.
and building them up. Yeah.
Absolutely. Right. There's no, this is no golden ticket for him to get to
Yeah,
a P4 level.
And
or
because
anything.
20 years at D2, and if y'all didn't know, he also coached at the Olympic level. If he wanted to move up, he would have.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's gotten offers before.
We talked about it actually, and and I assume so, right? Because at Colorado Mesa, they were a very good D2 program who made the NCAA regional. I think in his last like 10 years or so, probably about 6 or 5 times, and they were a pretty good program down there. But he talked about it, and he was like, for some reason, it doesn't seem like D1 programs want to give the opportunity to D2 coaches. He said that, as in his analogy, I think a shinier nickel, that they he would be.
That's funny. I like that.
I know, right? And that's just an example of, I think, the way he speaks that I think is really, I don't know, charming in a way. And I think that, yeah, so he was a part of a lot of coaching, hires, or not hires rather, but coaching searches, and that they would go with a different candidate who might already have D1 experience as a head coach.
Yep.
Or, and he's plenty of experience. Like you mentioned, he was at UCLA. He was at the Team USA for the Olympics in Atlanta. I think in I'm gonna get the year wrong, so I'm gonna try, but I think it's 96 or 94. But yeah, he had plenty of experience as an assistant and a wealth of knowledge. But he ended up at a D2 program as a head coach, had sustained success there, and wasn't able to get D1 opportunities, except for when Mosley and Connor Smith in the athletic department reached out to him this past offseason. And Fleming kind of was talking about it, like, I think because Mosley, he was an ACU alum, right? Abilene Christian University alum. And Connor Smith was a Dallas Baptist University alum, and that they're both from D2 schools, that they, had the insight to know that, like, there's plenty of good coaching talent at that lower level.
Yeah.
Right. Let's talk about, Coach White. Who's the softball
Cody
coach?
White?
Cody White. Yeah,
Cody
Cody
White, shout out.
he was a former D2 coach at Oklahoma. Not at Oklahoma, obviously, but
Yeah, Oklahoma something.
at a school at
or other.
Oklahoma. Yeah. And prior to their success here, Hodge and McCaslin were both at Arkansas State, before
Yeah.
this. They were, and then previous to that, I think they were at a different stop. But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of coaching talent that has come through here that is, coached at a lower level, and then they're taking their a much, you know, or sorry, rather, they coached at a lower level prior to arriving in North Texas. We just
Yeah.
talked about Eric Morris, who made
Yeah.
his name at UIW out of all places.
Incarnate Word. I
Yes.
know, yeah. I mean, I'm surprised he was in. Let's not get back into football. Man, we love talking about football.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the point being, he felt like he had to take the opportunity to jump to that D1 level. But, you know, it was still, a decision to make after spending 20 years in the same place,
Yeah.
right? Luckily, there's a couple of, stars that aligned. He had a big senior graduating class at Mesa, and his kids were no longer enrolled in school down there.
Yeah.
So he was like, let's just make the move. And yeah, the big thing of my piece and my time with him is that he's just super into relationships and
Yeah.
building the program in that manner.
And he's coming into a program with 12 underclassmen
Yes, sir.
and following the NCAA roster cuts taking place for the 2025 and 26 season. Roster cap's been limited to 18. There's currently, from what I can see, only 16 on this
Mhm.
roster as compared to 22 last year. So very condensed, very young roster. As
Yeah.
we noted before, the main leaders of this roster are sophomores. So, a lot of program building for him to work with. He's, these girls coming in, not necessarily developed up to the D1 level yet, and he has a chance to really make this team something special because there are a lot of intangibles with these people or with these
Yeah.
players.
Yeah, you were here last year. I think you can give your insight into this. There's obviously plenty of senior production that did graduate and that played a lot of minutes last year, a lot of sets. Uh, but there was frequently a lot of, I think, young freshman talent that also saw the
Yeah,
court.
you saw the flashes, especially in Ryan Vick. Um, there was a couple that left. I think Claire DeWine was a sophomore outside hitter. She's also got another offensive piece that
Mhm.
left. You had Laura Donna Fungi. Excuse me if I'm botching that. Middle blocker. She was a sophomore last year. She kind of came on towards the end of the season. Really electric, really hard hitting attacks.
Yeah.
The term for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Ryan Vick. Bedell didn't play much, but now she's showing out for herself too. So yeah. A couple of them transferred too. You had Lamero Scrivener,
Yeah.
Madison
Madison
Scrivener,
Scrivener.
transferred to where was it we found yesterday?
Angelo State.
Angelo
I
State.
think so.
Yeah. So you had some, you had your transfers, but you do bring back a good core of young returning players, and also the bringing in of some new transfers too. There are a good amount of transfers on this roster as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely. It culminates into a team that was projected to finish second to
Second to
last in
last,
the
yeah.
American Conference,
Yep.
which is obviously means that the consensus is not very high on North Texas. But like we mentioned, there's plenty of young talent that's showing up early. Coach Fleming definitely has his work cut out for him. I think their first conference game will be obviously later in the season. They're still finishing up their non-conference slate. He kind of again just going back to my interview with him. Yeah, he talked about goals and in terms of like wins and success. It's a little hard because he's never seen an American Conference team, right?
Yeah.
At D2 Colorado
Yeah.
Mesa or Mesa. I don't even want to say that because he probably did end up playing a team here and there, but he hasn't seen his team play against a American
Isn't-
Conference
yeah, yeah.
opponent yet. So he has no experience or little experience with them. So we'll actually see how well they fare in conference play and all that. But the future seems bright.
Yeah.
In a first year head coach, or not, rather, I'm sorry, a coach who's having his first year in Denton.
Young, exciting team. Go catch them on Friday, 7 o'clock. I think the UNT Volleyball Center should be a good one against Little Rock.
Against Little Rock.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
All right, for our last little sports cover segment here, we have soccer. They're off to a 4-4 start to the season. Under head coach Dave Headland again, the legend
Headland.
himself. John Headland, I'm
No,
so
you're
sorry.
good. Messing
Dave
up
Fleming and John Headland messed me up there.
No worries.
Yeah, John Headland, the UNT legend. Yeah, off to a good start. Alina Arneth was named the goalkeeper of the week in the American recently. Also recently earned the starting job and got her first career shutout against McNeese on October 28th. Mia Bernard, Claire Niedermeyer, and Rachel Roebuck also kind of leading this team so far early. Justin, you had a chance to go out to one of their first early games. We're both not huge soccer guys either,
Another
but
sport we're not exactly the most familiar.
we need to
with as
branch
far as-
out. We're so sorry, guys.
No. This is an opportunity to flex our muscles in
Yes,
terms of
exactly.
analysis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were able to go out. Kind of what'd you see from them?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me try to. Okay. Before I try to guess what games I've been to, because I've been to more than one. I was for sure there for the game against SMU, right?
Yeah.
Marquee matchup. Not necessarily even in terms of the program's history against. I don't know necessarily the women's soccer history against women's soccer at SMU, but UNT SMU, right?
Yeah.
Big rivalry across, regardless of sport, really, just sort of the proximity in the Metroplex. And so I showed up. It was a 4-3 loss to SMU, who won. But I mean, early on, I think two things were very noticeable. I think that North Texas, just broadly speaking, has a very small team, just in terms of stature,
Mhm.
which, in soccer, you don't imagine, at least for me as a casual enjoyer of the sport, to play a major role in how a team plays or with their weaknesses.
I mean, yeah, Messi being what, 5'6"
Yeah.
what he is,
No,
yeah, you think
absolutely
it would
right.
make a big difference.
No, 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 no. You don't really think about height as a big factor, but for these girls, I think that, like, you know, a big thing, or all four of SMU's goals came off set pieces, right? The ball goes out of bounds, and they have an opportunity to kick a corner kick,
Yeah.
toward the goal, and a much taller player who's really my height, like 5'11", compared guarded by a girl who's about 5'2", a player who's 5'3", is just kind of getting out muscled, outsized,
Yeah.
and able to, one header went in, right, or even just deflecting off the SMU player's body, and then it collides with another player's foot, just
Mhm.
because they're able to get the first touch on the ball off that corner kick. It just resulted in a lot of production based off those set pieces for them. And that was a big thing that Headland talked about, that they still need to work on. And regardless of size or stature, they can do a better job of, again, limited soccer expertise here, but marking, right, and keeping a body in front of another one. I'm going to compare it to a sport that I know much better, basketball, right? You
Yeah.
still, regardless of size, you got to get down there,
Yeah,
box
exactly.
out, make sure that you get the rebound, right? Um, but now, in addition to that, the advantage they had in terms of their smaller stature, I think they're very quick. Um, so the early decision by Coach Hedlund and the crew against SMU in that game was to take advantage of the speed advantage that you have against these taller players. They pressed early. I don't know the formation analysis enough to tell you really, right? But strategy wise, I could clearly tell that every time SMU passed the ball, there's two players swarming over there, trying to get a deflection, trying to cause pressure, trying to cause this player to make a poor decision and get that ball back to the UNT. So that's my early thoughts. That's my
Mhm.
limited soccer expertise. Is that this team, offensively speaking, or rather, I'm sorry, defensively speaking, is a little small, but they're able to make up for ways in different strategies, like again, not sure if that's a word, but pressing and applying pressure and trying to cause chaos essentially, with the soccer ball.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they're a really fun team. Offensively speaking, I think that again they're a little quick. They're a little quick, and I think they're also a little quick in their shot selection. The big stat for UNT soccer is that they've outshot their opponents. This is an older stat, I think, at this point, because they've played 2 games since. But at one point in the first 4 or 5 games, they outshot their opponents 125, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so what that equates to, as far as I understand, is that you're able to create a lot of these offensive opportunities where you're nearing the goal and you've decided to take a shot at it, right? But of course, different from a shot on goal, which is dependent on the accuracy
Yeah.
of that attempt.
Yeah. I
But
still kinda sometimes don't understand how that works. 'Cause sometimes I was like, "Oh, that's a shot on goal," but then it doesn't count.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Same thing with hockey. Just kinda get confused. I'm like,
Yeah, well, I don't know. I bet there's a more objective, viewpoint of it. But for now, I guess me and you just kind of see it as subjective.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so they're able to create a lot of shots and a lot of offensive opportunities for themselves, but they haven't been able to necessarily cash them all in.
Yeah.
Against SMU, they were able to cash in 3. But if you look at their schedule here, I'm now going to pull up their schedule here.
Oh, I got it up.
Oh, beautiful. Tell me some of the scores in the last couple games.
They are 2-2 in their last 4 games, 2-1 at Prairie View A&M, win, 2-1 at Prairie View A&M, or no, hold on. I'm so sorry. The McNeese State shutout,
Yep.
Lena Arneth, first shutout career, their first win, lost 0-1 against Oklahoma, ranked 20 Oklahoma, so a good fight there. Won 2-1 against Abilene Christian on the Claire Niedermeyer 90th minute
Oh my gosh.
walk-off
Yeah.
goal. Yeah, that was electric. These are good young players,
Yes, sir.
sophomore striker, and then a 1-0 loss against ULM.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've also been to that McNeese game. I knew it was a game that I'd gone to, August 28th.
Yeah.
4-0 win, obviously pretty big confidence booster for you heading into Norman, Oklahoma, where you did, unfortunately lose, but you lost narrowly 1-0. Which
I think they scored pretty early on too, Oklahoma did. Or maybe that was ULM, but yeah.
one of those two
Just kind of
games.
preaching to that. I think it was ULM, but they scored early on, but they didn't allow another goal, and they didn't allow any more adversity going on from that point. So kind of preaches to, they may be small, but the defense has tenacity, kind of being led by Rachel Robeck back there. She's been labeled as the enforcer, graduate defender. Kind of plays all over the field though.
Yeah,
What I've
plays a
heard.
little plays a little offense too once in a
Yeah,
while.
they have attitude. They have They have good people leading them there. Mia Bernard's another one. I heard from our friend Joseph Perez. Shout out Joseph.
Shout out Joseph,
He
man. I
shoots.
miss him, man.
I know I miss Joseph too. He shoots for Mean Green Sports
Mhm.
at the soccer games, and he quote said Mia Bernard is nice, like not personality nice, but like nice on the field.
Nice on
So
the field, yes, sir.
they have some good players going on there.
Yeah. Currently, I think, as far as I can tell, well, my goodness, not having the most updated stats here. And now I'm ready to speak.
No,
Uh,
you're good.
Mia Bernard does lead the team in goals right now,
Yes.
and points as a whole. So goals with 3. She has also 3 assists. She also 9 points. Behind her, or tied right there with her, is Claire Niedermeyer as well, who had 3 goals, 1 assist, and 7 points on the season.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking on Claire, speaking on a couple of other players, Peyton Annis, who's a freshman this year, but Claire's a sophomore.
Yeah.
Let me not get
Peyton
that
is
mixed up.
Legacy player.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we have a whole story about that from Haley. But
Shout out
uh,
Haley.
what was that?
Shout out Haley.
Shout out Haley. Yeah, no, I'm always willing to. Yeah, shout out Haley. Are you kidding me? But no, I want to talk about Claire Niedermeyer because I think she's an example, similar situation to volleyball, where last year they had a lot of freshmen play early on, right? Claire included, in a similar fashion that Peyton Annis is playing now, right? A true freshman who's getting an early offensive role and able to, and is so far taking the most, or taking advantage of it. And hopefully next year she'll get an even bigger one and proceed to progress and develop and all that. But we're kind of seeing that with Claire as well, right? Last year she had a slower start and then came on in the later half of that season. Started picking up. She had a hat trick last year at one point, which is
I remember
insane.
that.
Yeah, as a true freshman. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And so she's obviously coming into this year with a lot higher of expectations. The team as a whole started off a little rocky against UIW. Shout out the Eric Morris Bowl versus UNT, but because they outshot their opponents like 38-8, 37-7, or something like
And
that.
it still took a
Took a 2-1 loss.
Yeah, that's just the way soccer goes.
Yeah, and
Again,
so
I don't know much about soccer.
no,
That's
hey,
just how I assume
that's how it goes.
This is the way sports goes sometimes. Sometimes
Of course,
you
of course.
play well, and sometimes just you don't come out on top.
Absolutely. And so, they've been able to, sort of bounce back since then. They've had an up and down season. I think that ULM loss is a little, unfortunate, taints their schedule a little bit.
For sure.
After having a really great close game against Oklahoma. I think I saw in the recap just now that they let up the goal against Oklahoma in like the 69th minute, right? That's a second half goal late in the game. So for a lot of the game, you're able to keep it 0-0, 0-0, as the soccer folks say. And so shout out to, Alina Arnev. Named goalkeeper of the week and her performance against that. But so far, they've had an up and down season is really what I'm getting at, right? So we're talking about this UIW game that's a little bit of a stain. This SMU game that's, another, a loss, but it's a close game. And Oklahoma, it's another close loss. Like they're not able to necessarily.
It's very much up and down. Very kind of, they show flashes and sometimes it just doesn't pull through kind of when they want it to.
Good on them for making the most of that McNeese State matchup, right? They 4-0 win. But besides that game, a quote that I've heard both times I've gone to a soccer game this year is that they're getting a lot of shots up, but they're getting a little unlucky, right?
Yeah.
The shots are not falling, as the basketball terminology that I would use. But and so I don't know necessarily what it'll take to make those shots start falling. My personal thoughts, again, as someone who couldn't kick a soccer goal or couldn't kick a soccer into the goal. I'm saying soccer goal. That's how uneducated I am.
Cannot kick a ball at all. It's so bad. It twists off my foot and just goes at like a 45-degree angle. I can't kick a ball.
That's hilarious.
Never been good. So
we got to get that on video sometime.
Oh, no, we don't. We definitely don't have to.
But my personal analysis, and again, it just comes back to my understanding of basketball. The shot selection doesn't seem necessarily the most efficient at times. Like I understand that you're getting a lot of shots and you have a lot of offensive opportunities, but there should be a question like, why aren't the shots falling then? You know what I'm saying? If you are out shooting your opponents in the first 4 to 5 games, 125, and I think that was before the McNeese game where they did have a lot of those shots convert. What is the difference between having 4 goals and then having 1?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think Coach Hedlund talked about it, at least for McNeese. They drilled it, they've practiced it, really getting their shots on goal. And at the very least, when they're getting a shot up, it's not flying on the opposite end of or not the opposite end, flying above the goal out of bounds, right? Because in that scenario, they lose possession. They kick the ball out of bounds and then they lose possession at times as well when they're taking some of these shots. So they focused on trying to make sure at least it's hitting the net. Obviously optimally hitting the net, but at least hitting the goal post, right? or getting at least close on goal so that you can get a rebound and still get the ball or another get a shot in. Um, I digress though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, thank you for covering that segment for me.
Lot
I have not been to a UNT soccer game. I need to get out there. Yeah, no. But last 2 years of like the first games have set the student attendance record both times. So people love it. It's a fun sport.
Absolutely. It's another place where I think it's a much quainter environment, right? I think oh my gosh, the joke is that the bleachers are just placed perfectly so the sun is just beaming at you.
I've seen that before.
Exactly. And so I'm very familiar with that. Sitting in the press box, you can really feel the sun on you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's another environment where I think because of the history there. Sorry, you kind of uniquely different from volleyball. Volleyball, I think, just has a unique environment that benefits them because of the band, the proximity, and soccer has that as well. But I think also the history, right?
Yeah.
I think Headland's prestige here gives that quaint environment a little bit of a different atmosphere because it's been the home to 19 conference championships, 0 losing seasons, right?
Yeah.
There's a column talking about.
Oh yeah, I was working on a way to get this in here. Yeah.
Don't worry. Yeah. But
go check that out, Ruben Placencia. If you haven't, good column.
Point being, there's a different kind of environment there. I think because of the history of the whole place, but it's a good place. They're going to be back at it. When are
they are playing Army on Thursday. First conference matchup of the season, 5 p.m. They're on a 4-game road.
Oh, not a conference matchup. I'm so sorry because Army is only a football member of the American Conference.
Silly me.
No worries.
We'll cut that out. No, yeah, 4-game on a 4-game road trip right now. Started with ULM last game. Then they got Army, then NJIT, then UTSA. Yeah, that is a conference matchup.
Yes, sir.
There we go.
Yes, sir. Yep. That'll be in San Antonio, and their first conference match at home will be in Charlotte on September 25th.
Yep. So there are the 3 sports, football, volleyball, soccer. Fun start to the North Texas season. We probably won't go on this long for some of the other episodes, just a lot to catch up on over these last 2 weeks. Going into this final segment, we have Quote of the Week.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, me and Justin have been able to go attend these football pressers together, and Eric Morris is pretty funny guy, has been saying some funny stuff sometimes. So you want to tell him about that first quote we had from him?
Yeah, so Coach Morris is he's doing his head coach duties. He's talking about that Sellout DACU initiative and talking about how students
rocking a
DACU. These students should come out and fans should come out and support this team. They're 2-0. They're going to play this great Washington State team. And then he gets on the topic of the alcohol being sold there. And then this quote is, "They sell cold beer in the stadium now, so you don't have to stay outside, drink your beer. I don't know if they have liquor. Is it just beer in there?" And he asked like almost
in the middle of a professional live stream press conference. He just kind of starts ranting about beer. It's very funny.
Yeah. And then Miles Menor, who's sitting to my right at this point. Doug I think tells him like there's only beer, right? And then but Miles is like, no, there's actually a bar in like the corner. And I think the funniest part about this whole sequence is that's all that Miles says. There's a bar.
I know Miles is very quick to like interject that too. He's like, no, there's a bar. There's
a bar in the corner. And first of all, someone's got to ask Miles why he knows that.
I know that's what I'm saying.
I think he's 20, man.
No, yeah. Oh, is he really?
I think he's my age. Yeah.
Wow.
Anyways, he could be 21. Hey, who knows? But I'm gonna get Miles in trouble. But no, and so Coach. But that's all the phrasing that Miles offers. Is like, there's a bar in the corner. No corner of what? There's a bar somewhere in the corner. And Coach just goes, oh, there's a bar in the corner? So if you need a margarita or a Crown and Coke, you just go to the corner and you get one, right? And then he takes a sip of his water and we move on to the next question. But we all take a moment to laugh because it's like, yeah, just go to the corner and get yourself a margarita.
Yep, bar in the corner if you need a margarita. That's Coach Morris right there.
Hey, why not?
I got another one. If y'all didn't watch the WMU game, there was some kicking mishaps going on for North Texas. I think it was the fourth quarter.
Yes, sir.
Callie Nguma. Was he the kickoff, Callie Nguma? Or is it?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, because I know there's some other one. Fact check this real quick.
I don't even know. Oh my gosh, this is terrible. I can't
put this terrible.
I can't put this in the podcast because I'm going to all these games. I should know who the kickoff person is. Either way.
Yes. Anyways, not important. Kickoff happens. It's supposed to be a sky kick from what Morris was telling us. It ended up just pile driving kind of right into the ground and kind of looked like an onside / squib kick thing. I remember watching it. I was like, that was really weird.
For sure it looked like that.
Because at that point, I think the game was tied,
I
I think it was tied.
I think so too. Oh my gosh, yes, it was.
Yeah, it was tied with, like,
27-27.
4 minutes left to go, and they had the ball at, like, the 40-yard line. Well, they had just given
I don't
Western
even think it was 4
Michigan.
minutes. I think it was less time because it's Western Michigan's final drive that whole game, right? Is that when
I
that
have it
kickoff
up right
happens?
now.
Here, let me pull it up.
A field goal. Oh, yeah, it was, like, a minute 30 or something.
Exactly, yeah.
So, yes, needless to say, game tie. North Texas had just made a great comeback, and then they proceed to give him the ball kinda at the 40-yard line, which is interesting, but Morris is here to clear that up for us. So he says Tuesday, I think Brett Vito for the Denton Ricker Chronicle was
Shout out, Brett.
asking him. Shout out Brett was asking
Everyone gets a
about.
shout out on this podcast, man.
Everyone's getting a shout out.
I love
Anybody
it.
gets mentioned. Yep. He just asked him just kind of what happened on that kick there, and then Eric Morris just like, oh, I didn't call that. It wasn't a thing. And then he said, I got a couple text messages on the phone asking what the hell I was doing kicking an onside kick. And that was just pretty funny. That he was getting text messages. Yeah, see, everyone was learning the same things. I was like, what was that? What was that all about?
Seriously.
Very odd. Yeah.
No, that botched kick before listeners at home. A sky kick is just kicking that ball as high as you can, right? Making
Run
sure
out
that
the clock.
exactly,
Yeah.
making sure that they have to, receive that ball on the kickoff, and hopefully you can then, run out more
Yeah.
clock, like Ian just said.
Get your defense down there, make a tackle. push 'em back.
Exactly.
But yeah, they ended up getting to the 40-yard line, which at that point,
They have a chance at that field goal.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
kicker was like 3 for 3 from, and each of his field goal attempts for Western Michigan were 40 yards out. Like I promise you, that if they
know.
got close enough, that guy really had a chance.
I know, yeah. But Western Michigan didn't have much of a passing offense going that game, so
sir.
it ended up working out, went to overtime. But yeah, funny stuff from Coach Morris. We have a good time in these pressers. Coach Morris is a fun guy.
Yeah. Hey, we make his job hard though. We ask him so many questions.
Yeah.
And,
It always gets to me, and I feel like he's just annoyed at that point. He just kind of like throwing my questions off. I sit at the end, and I get the mic like dead last. Justin gets it twice before I get it once, and then I ask a question. Morris is just like, I think okay. What was it? It was another kind of tying into quote of the week. The first question I asked was, the Washington State defense let up, only 215 yards. Just kind of like, what's the game plan going in? Going up against the defense, some momentum. He basically just kind of told me in a very long, exquisite way, like they've always been good. I don't know what you're talking about. At least that's kind of how I felt. I was like, oh dang.
No, I understand what you mean. First of all, I can't believe the diss just now. Justin gets the mic twice before you. I mean, you can.
It's not a diss. It's just how it is. It's odd the way it works.
I know. But no, Coach Morris is a pretty good coach to interview.
He's fun.
Seriously,
I probably just asked a dumb question. This is how it goes. We have our mishaps. Me and you.
We'll talk about
everyone.
it slash.
Exactly. Yep.
But yeah, you want to finish out with this last?
Yeah, exactly. Coming up for North Texas sports, of course, you have Washington State game on this Saturday, the 13th. Highlight there. Women's soccer plays Army tomorrow at 5 p.m. an away game. You can watch that on ESPN Plus. Women's tennis opens up their season at the Diving Eagle Invite here at the Warranch Tennis Complex in Denton, Texas. Have some good returning sophomores there. You have
Carolina Lane, or I don't know, sophomore for tennis,
or is she junior? Junior. I forget the names.
Carolina Ladner.
She deserves a shout out, whoever it is. That they're returning a couple good players.
Yeah, they're absolutely returning. At least
Lou Shillard, that's her. I think she led the team in wins last
Lou
season.
Shillard, sure, yeah, we can talk about Lou Shillard.
Yeah, a couple good players.
Yeah, man,
yeah, a couple good players coming back for them. That happens on Friday, along with women's volleyball home opener, of course, happening on 7 p.m. on Friday. Saturday, of course, we have football. Women's volleyball heads out for their tournament. Or I don't know if it's a tournament, but they face. Yes, it is a tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, I looked at the wrong game. They play Northwestern State at Arlington at the UTA Invitational. Women's soccer is a game against NJIT. Track and field, I think, is this their first or second event?
Cross country is
cross
going to
country,
their
cross country.
second event on this Saturday against
against
A&M.
the Texas A&M Invitational.
Yes, sir.
And tennis continues their tournaments. Then heading into the next week, soccer and volleyball play again on Thursday the 18th. Football plays again on next Saturday, of course, against Army. Should be a good one there up at West Point. We'll have another episode for you guys sometime next week covering these games that are about to come up. All these events on Saturday. Then we'll kind of touch on those. But yeah, Justin, it's been a good time.
Dude, it's been a
Been
great
fun,
time.
yeah. We talked for a lot longer than I thought we would. I'm glad this went
I
for
love
as
this,
long
man.
as
I
it
love
did.
this.
This is fun, yeah.
There's a chance that I might not be your guest next week, but I want to say that.
I would love to have you back.
Hey, I'd love to.
You make this last as long as it needs to go. Like, 'cause
I appreciate it. I appreciate
I don't know
it.
how long I could
No.
make this last for longer than 20 minutes.
Well, that's my final piece that I want to give you, and is I think that you did a fantastic job hosting it. For listeners at home, like I mentioned, I've been part of 3 different iterations of this daily podcast, and I think that I don't even know if some of those versions you can really find. I think you can actually find all of them on the daily YouTube channel. But
I was doing my homework on those. I was making sure I was right.
the
Shout out Ethan Plinsky.
Shout out Ethan Plinsky.
The
Shout out
original
Chris
host.
Moss.
Shout out Chris Moss.
Yeah, I want to give all my shout outs, man. But I want for listeners at home, Ian Pfaffenberger here is going to take over. This newest iteration. I'm going to let he's going to be the host of this whole thing, and I think he's going to do a great job. I think he's done a great job this episode, and I think that he's shown plenty of ability to kind of lead this whole thing. So I hope you guys enjoy him as a host. I'll be probably back at some point, considering that
we have a heavy football episode. I'll definitely bring.
We got to get Haley on here.
We do have to get Haley on here.
Really, we'll work with her schedule. She's a busy woman nowadays.
Yes, does a lot of stuff.
We'll seriously. She was at the volleyball thing today for NCTV.
Yeah, for NCTV. That makes sense.
Yeah. So at some point we'll get her, but thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, of course.
I think it's a great start to a great podcast.
Yes, yeah. Just for the future, we'll rotate in all these daily guys. Got a lot of staff writers this year. Got a lot of good.
Y'all are gonna love them.
Yeah. It's gonna be fun. We'll see you guys in the next one. You guys have a good day.
Bye.
See you.